We're back. You good?
Again, it always happens.
Look, we're back. It's another episode. Don't sue the messenger.
Yep.
So this week we wanna talk about something that I'm not sure everyone is gonna have heard about. Actually, this is a bit of an insider story for anyone who's interested in what's happening in tech, venture capital and AI. So just to give you the breakdown, Leopold Aschenbrenner.
Very interesting.
That's the name. That's the name. The more you read the story, the more interesting it gets, right? So this is a guy who is an ex-OpenAI researcher, young guy, early 20s at the time. He's unceremoniously fired from OpenAI, and the circumstances of that are a little unclear. So it seems as though he supposedly published some sort of research paper or shared some sort of memo that was supposed to be confidential, and then was let go as a result of that. Now, his get back was to create his own venture fund, raising from all the big guys, ironically, some ex-OpenAI employees, actually, as well as the Stripe guys and a lot of big funds. Within that time, he's gone and effectively turned a few $100 million into $45 billion, really by following his own thesis. So he's published a long thesis around the choke points, bottlenecks, and value that's going to be accrued in the AI market.
Right.
Created this fund, situational awareness, aptly named.
Situational awareness.
Yeah. And as I said, taken 500 million to $1 billion of capital, up to 45 billion, by placing bets effectively on AI infrastructure and energy stocks that were, lesser known and exploded. Pretty much all of them exploded over the time. And that's how we got these remarkable returns. And yet the story turns into a story of unfortunate feast and famine, where, taking that 500 million to $1 billion all the way up to 45 billion, that 45 billion was lost in 3 days. What a headline. And I guess, John, I know you looked at, how is it even possible to lose 45 billion in 3 days? So just for people who are, again, coming at it a little bit cold or new to it, what the F happened, bro?
Yeah. So, I saw the headline that a trader lost 45 billion. And I'm like, how did that even happen? Like, what exactly did you invest in that could have wiped out that quickly? And then I realized the one thing that gets most traders and gets them bankrupt is they trade with leverage. And I hear it's saying that, like, when you're using leverage and you're making a lot of money, you seem like the smartest guy in the world. But
just break us down again. Not everyone's into
Right.
Is an advanced investor as you, John. So what do we mean by leverage, and how did that change the story?
So basically, when you trade, let's say you buy stock at a certain price, and normally for most people, you watch it go up or go down. So let's say you put $100, you bought the stock at, like, let's say $300. It goes up twice. So let's say it goes up to 600. Your money has basically doubled. So it follows the same exact rate that it goes. When you're trading with leverage, you're basically going higher risk, higher reward. And you're saying, okay, I've got $100 in this, but let's say you want to trade at like a 4x leverage. So it means for every dollar it goes up, you're getting like a 4x return. But it also means that for every dollar it goes down, you're getting a 4x loss. Now, this normally would be okay, but the problem is once it goes down too much, it would essentially mean that if it goes down, like, let's say you've got $100 and it goes down by $25, it means you've essentially wiped out your $100. Ideally, if this happened without leverage, you can go down as much as possible and you can just wait for it to bounce back up. You never really get wiped out because you've got the exact same ratio. So unless that stock goes down to zero, and even at that, if it goes down to 0 point whatever, it can still go back up and you're good. But with leverage, you can basically, the stock can still be here, but you've basically wiped out all you have. And at that point, the banks are gonna come and say, "What's happening?"
And as you say, right, because
Yeah.
you've borrowed the money, right?
Yeah,
You know,
essentially.
you borrowed to be able to.
Yeah,
execute that trade.
that's a very good point.
Yeah.
Because essentially, what's happening is you're essentially at the back end. It's just like you're borrowing the money. So it's almost like you're saying, "I put 100, but I'm basically." It's almost like I put 400. So they've given you the 300 credits. That's essentially how you can see it. So if it goes down and it wipes everything, then they're like, okay, you need to return. They can't just let you keep going down. They're like, okay, you've wiped out everything. You need to return our money. And now you owe, you owe everything. And then what happens in that point is like, they usually have to either you send them more money, put more money in your account to be able to make up for it so you can borrow more essentially, or they take out from your other investments you have.
Margin call.
So let's say you have other investments, and that's what we call a margin call. So they go and say, okay, we see you also have this. Just so you know, all of this needs to go to make up for what you've borrowed. And that's essentially what happens. This was how he made his money with leverage. So he essentially borrowed and did 4x. It got massive returns. He invested in the picks and shovels, the semiconductors, the areas where were essentially like the choke point for AI, essentially, because he had the insights. I think he invested in Micron or some of them. And then now is the day of reckoning has come. And then I think he said, I heard he had like 40% in one stock, I think Nebulous or something. And there is, people are saying that there's rumor that it was essentially a shakedown. And they said, okay, we see all of this you've got. And the big banks, which the particular one was a Citadel, the idea is that they basically shorted those stocks. So they put news out like, okay, interest rates is going up, this is happening. The stock starts to go down. And as it's going down, he's obviously saying this is going to go up. Because of the leverage, it's getting wiped out really fast. And by the time it's got wiped out, there's like a margin call. And what happens is they're saying, okay, all these other stocks you've got. So the same guys who probably shorted him come at the door and say, okay, we see that you're in trouble right now and you need to settle this. We're going to come help you and buy all this, obviously at a discount. And then they basically take everything he's got. And I think now I think they said he's not completely bankrupt yet. I think they said he's got like a few billion left. But that's essentially how it is. It lost all that gains is made over time. And now there's no
Boy,
bad spot.
45 billion lost in 3 days,
Crazy.
you know.
Crazy.
It's dark. Real dark.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, it's a lesson in playing with the hustlers.
Yeah.
Man. That, as you say, it really did sound like a shakedown to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the very people who are shorting the stocks, effectively betting against your stocks, saying they're about to go down, putting out news to suggest that the price of them are going to go down.
Yep.
The very same people waiting to go and buy those stocks again.
Yep.
There is a silver lining here, though. Situational awareness as a fund did not wind down. So he lost that 45 billion. The prevailing assumption at that point was that he was finished.
Yeah.
But he wasn't, and I got my hands on the comms that he put out to the investors in the fund. And he told them, look, we were irresponsible in terms of our risk management and we made some mistakes. Fundamentally, these stocks are going to pop. Yeah. And that's where I love the conviction, because he said, our risk management was bad, but our stock selection was right. And in the days and just about weeks since, you've seen they are rising again.
That's something I've seen is like, especially when you're doing leverage, you might be right. Like your conviction might be right. What you're saying is going to happen might be right. But when you're leveraged, you need to be right
now.
Till eventually.
You need to be right now.
You need to always be right when you're leveraging.
Right now,
which is the problem. You might be right eventually, but
if
you're wrong at a point before you get right again, it's a wrap.
So what's the lesson? I mean, for me, let's not do leverage, man. Especially if you're new to this. Don't borrow money to invest. Just keep it simple. Invest in the right stocks. You'll get the returns over time.
Yeah.
What we have seen is a arguably genius stock picker with shocking risk management to the extent, that the company almost collapsed.
Yeah.
But it's an almost, and they live to fight another day.
I wonder when you're making this kind of big risk, do the investors know you're about to do this, or you just do this?
So,
and they hear
they have different levels of visibility, but obviously they're trading public stocks, right? So usually, and depending what jurisdiction you're regulated by, there's a certain level of transparency that you have to provide to any investors in the fund. But that is usually over. There's a certain period of time, so it's not every day that they see every single trade that you make.
Right.
Every month or every quarter or so, you've agreed what they're going to publish, what the book looks like.
Right.
So in that week where things crashed 40% in the real market and what's that 160% in his book, he was probably stressing. But yeah, that's how they probably managed to execute and get away with it for a while. But look, on Don't Shoot the Messenger, we love an entrepreneur. We love an entrepreneur. We love a risk taker.
It's good to take a risk.
We support him. He's we're looking forward to hearing more about what happened with OpenAI. I'm sure that's going to emerge. We're looking forward to seeing what he does next with his investments, with the portfolio. Take the risk. Don't do leverage.
Don't do leverage. Ain't worth it.